Adventures. So today is going to be a little bit of a different, not really, it's a top 10 video type thing. It's not top 10 because it's not actually top 10, it's more of just 10 books that are like this. And this is most fun books or funnest books. And I stole this idea from J.R. Carroll, and he just recently did his own video like this. And I was like, okay, I want to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. So I just have a list of 10 books here, and I'm going to go down through them, and hopefully I can make it fairly short. The first book on the list is The Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien. This book, it's just a very, very fun book. It's the adventure aspect, the lightheartedness, well, I mean, it's very deep as well in many ways, and at many times. It's impactful. It's very heavy. There's some heavy subject matter that is dealt with, but it's done in such a lighthearted way, such a friendly, family friendly, just all around, just a fun manner that, of course, this is going to be on the list. It's just such a fun book with so many adventures. The quest as a whole to reclaim the kingdom of Erebor, that's super fun. But then all the mini quests along the way, all the little mini adventures that happen, each chapter in this book, it being a very episodic book, each chapter just becomes super fun, and culminating in a book that as a whole is one of the most fun books I've ever read. Next one I have is The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham. This is a standalone book and the debut novel by author A.R. Witham, and this was just so much fun. And I could also include the Locke Institute trilogy as well, even though there's only 2 books out that I've read so far, but those books as well. But I feel like Legend of Blackjack, just from the very quickly into this book, you just start having so much fun, and you're starting to explore key marks, you're starting to understand the world a little bit, just the character interactions, the world that's going on. And the more you do, it gets dark at times. There's some dark, scary things that happen in this book, creepy, but at the same time, there's just so much that is just really fun about this book. And it does help that the main character is a 14, I believe, year old boy, and it just, he's so much like the rest of people. He's got his specific skills and abilities, but then there's so much humanity to him. And as he's experiencing these adventures that he goes on, it's just so much fun. And I think you'll see a little bit of a theme through all these books, which is adventure. The next one I have here is Mistborn: The Final Empire, which is book 1 of the Mistborn series. Or I could also include book 1 of Art of Era 2, which is The Alloy of Law. That's also a very, very fun book, and the Western aspects lend itself really well to making that a more fun read. But Mistborn itself, it's something completely new, something completely different, yet it feels so familiar with its medieval fantasy aspects. But then the magic and learning the magic with Ven and the characters, it's so much fun, and it makes you want to be a Mistborn, so that you can experience these feelings that these characters are having. And it's a very fun book as well. Less of an adventure in terms of like going on a quest or a journey type thing, but it is very much an adventure for the character trying to go from point A to point B in her own personal journey. Next, I have Dawn of Wonder by Jonathan Renshaw, and this is one where it's really immersive. The author Renshaw does a really amazing job with writing an immersive world, a beautiful world that you can visualize very clearly, very, very easily. And his words paint an amazing picture. But also the adventure that you go on, and the character that we're following, who is another young boy. It's very much a coming of age, but there's a lot of adventures that he goes on. He goes to basically a military academy, and him and his group of friends are trying to not infiltrate, but they just go exploring the academy grounds, sometimes getting themselves into trouble. And there's that side of thing that's really fun, but also just the story that is being built. Even with there's a lot of trauma and domestic abuse things that are being dealt with in this book, at the same time as the story of Aiden becoming a gray marshal. And that whole storyline is super fun. But again, a lot of really fun adventures that are happening inside this book as well, and it's just an enjoyable book to read. Next, we have The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is one of those books that is just everybody knows the story. Everybody knows the adventures of D'Artagnan and Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, and it's just the way that Dumas builds this world, builds in this adventure with these swashbuckling musketeers just going around getting into sword fights all the time. But then add on top of that the characters of these four main characters, and their humor, their banter, everything that goes into it. It just makes for such a fun, such an enjoyable book. And yes, it's long. It's a fairly chunky book, as is Dawn of Wonder, but that doesn't take away from how much fun the book is, and you're having fun from page one all the way to the end of the book. And it's, again, there are some harder moments, some more painful, darker moments that happen in these books, but then just I really feel like those heavier moments really make the rest of the book to shine all the brighter for those fun times. The next one I don't have a copy of, and that is Captain Blood by Raphael Sabatini, I believe is the author. And this is one that I just read, but it's another swashbuckling adventure story, and it's about a pirate captain who basically gets forced into piracy, but he's honorable. And so there's this pirate, which obviously piracy is very, very heavily frowned upon, and usually largely due to how unethical and evil the pirates are and can be. But this one, he's a noble pirate, and just not noble in the sense of royal blood or anything like that, but his manner, the way he acts is very noble, very professional at times, very, very just, he's a good person at heart. And so he's going about on the ocean being a pirate, but also being or a privateer, if you want to call it that, but he's just noble at the same time. And the contrast between that and the adventures that they get up to, it's just another really fun novel that just, you're swashbuckling, you're on the seas, you're pirates, and it's just, there's so much about it that's just really fun, with, again, a lot of darker, heavier themes. The next one then that I have on this list is Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. This is another one where it's going around it. You have a time limit, so it's already, you're fast paced. But then you've got this journey of this character that I have no idea what his name is. Can I find it real quick? Phileas Fogg. His character and his desire and the adventures that happen, because he is going around the world, so he comes across these different locations and has to deal with the certain things in the different locations, and it's super fun. And then he's being chased at the same time, and there's this idea that, oh, maybe he's a infamous criminal or something like that, and that's why he's being chased, but you don't really think so, but who knows for sure. And then you get to the end, and you look back at the story as a whole, and you're just like, that was, I mean, the idea of going around the world in 80 days, at the time it was unheard of. Is basically, this is an impossibility. But Phileas Fogg was like, no, I've done the calculations, it can happen. And so he tries to do it. And that concept and that perception for us of just going around the world as fast as is physically possible at the time of this book. Now it can be much, much faster. But at the time of this book, it was something where that was just a huge adventure, and it becomes so much fun looking back at it, and at the time that the story was written, at the time that the story takes place, all those things, and it just makes for a really fun book as well. The next one I have on this list, I actually lent my book to my sister-in-law, and so I don't have it to read, but that would be A Natural History of Dragons, or really the Lady Trent memoir series as a whole, but especially that first one, because that's where you get introduced to it. And this is one where it almost shouldn't be as fun as it is. And when I say that it's super fun, it's almost academic story, but it's also about, it's a memoir. It's this character's memoir looking back at her younger self and her journey as a character, as a young woman, as a dragon naturalist. Doesn't exist, and so it's just this character, this old, a little bit jaded character who's looking back at her younger self and being like, my younger self was so dumb, but then just enjoying the adventure, and you get to see dragons, you get to study these dragons, and from someone like me who loves dragons, that's just so much fun to do in and of itself. But then the story that goes along with it it's just a really good story, really fun story as well. And again, some darker things happening, some creepy, scary things going on as well, but it makes for a really fun adventure at the end of the book. Next, I have The Sum of All Men, or The Rune Lords by David Farland, and I considered putting Sons of the Oak on this because Sons of the Oak is my favorite book in the series. It's book 5 of the series, and it's kind of acts as a bridge between parts 1 and parts 2, but I didn't need to do that, and I really just, as a whole, this series was incredible. I had so much fun reading this book and this series, and getting to talk about it with Nico and who else was reading it. Liam. I don't remember if anybody else was following or keeping up with us at the time, but it was so much fun to read, and it's something completely new again, and something where there's a lot of familiarity to it. The compounding of traits and stuff like that, that's not something that is terribly uncommon or unheard of within fantasy, but the way that it's done, and the more that you continue through the series, the more it just becomes, how many times can we have the same conversation and add more depth to it, and about the ethicality of these actions, and just the more that you read this book and this series, the more fun it becomes, but also there's a lot of depth to it and a lot of discussion, a lot of it's not just some generic high fantasy. In fact, it's very much not generic high fantasy. It feels like that in the first book. There's some tropes that feel a little stale, a little in today's world they'd be considered problematic. But just if you read the book and then you continue through the series and see how Farland takes that and flips it on its head at times, and subverts our expectations, and just the way that he uses this first book as setup to then go through and tell an even better story, and even more fun story throughout the rest of the series. It's just a really fun book. Plus there's so much to explore, and I personally love exploring new fantasy worlds, and so that this first book, this exploration of a new fantasy world, is extremely fun for me. And then number 10 on this list that I have, and this is not an exhaustive list, this is not even a top 10 list, but I wanted to include this one because I genuinely think it was a really fun book, but then also because J.R. Carroll was the one who started this video idea going around, or at least he's the first one that I saw doing it. And so I'm going to put his book More Than a Gunslinger on this list because it really was very, very fun. We're following a young female sharpshooter in the old American, or in 1869 America, and she's just going on adventures, doing her stuff. She's very hot-headed. She just likes to get into fights and do stuff, and that gets really fun. It can be really fun, especially in a book that's as short as this one, which is about 270 pages, which allows you to not spend so much time with these characters that you're like, okay, I am tired of this character acting this way, and never getting past this just hot-headed run headfirst into a fight. And it works because the book is so short. There is character development. Don't get me wrong. There is character development, but there's a lot of just fun aspects to this. I personally think that the Western genre is very fun, and I really enjoy the Western genre. And so incorporating this into it, making it a fantasy Western with a little bit of like urban fantasy to some degree, even though it's 1869, not modern, or not modern United States, and just like the amalgamation of genres and ideas that comes into these books, and characters and creatures, it's really, really fun. And it's just another fast-paced action story, and I thought that it was just a super fun book. And so I wanted to include it on here as both a thank you to J.R. Carroll for giving me the idea for this video, but also because I genuinely think that it is a fun book. So yeah, those are the 10 books that I have are on this list that I consider to be most fun books, or funnest books, or whatever you want to say. And this was just a fantastic video idea that I saw J.R. Carroll doing, and I'm like, okay, I got to do that. It's nice and easy, and it'll be quick, and I love the idea. So thank you again. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite adventure. If you like what you're seeing from us, please like, comment, and subscribe. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and have our social medias linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay well.